Welcome to another episode of From Learning. Hope you're all doing great. And today I want to talk about something that has been on my mind for quite some time, and it's based on many messages I get from you on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on all the socials. And I think that this is really something where many of you just have a mindset problem, I think, very frankly, right? I think many of you are getting this wrong. So it's going to be a little bit like a real talk format, a little bit of a rant maybe. So I hope you can apologize me for doing that, but I trust it's going to be fine, okay? And the issue that I have, what many of you are doing, is that you're writing messages saying things like, oh, I want to join consulting, what do I need to do? I'm still maybe even a high school student and I just want to do everything to get into consulting. What do I need to study? What extracurriculars do I need to do? Or also another thing that I get very regularly is people who are already in their careers for a couple of years. Maybe you work in Big Four, maybe in industry, maybe somewhere else. And then I get messages saying, I want to get into McKinsey, into BCG, into Bain. I want to do an MBA, or should I do an MBA to get into these firms? Is this what will get me in, right? And then what program do I need to do? Where do I need to study and so on to fulfill this goal? And I think there are many problems with this type of mindset and type of attitude. Because I think the reality is just, especially if you have the goal to go into firms like McKinsey, BCG, Bain, I mean, just stay with that. These are three firms. And I know that, of course, they're quite prestigious. I know that many people want to get into them. And of course, I think there are good reasons for that. And of course, on my channel, I talk about many of these reasons. But there can be so many reasons why, even if you make it into the interviews, you then do not get in. Surely there's, I would argue, quite a high rate of false negatives, right? So people who probably would have deserved to get in, but just didn't make it through the process, maybe because they didn't have the best day, maybe the chemistry with the one or the other interviewer didn't work out well. There are things that you cannot always influence, right? And you need to live with that. That's life. So, but if this is what's happening, how can you think that it's a good idea to just structure your whole life, your whole adolescence, your whole 20s around getting into these three firms? Frankly, I think that's a little bit childish. Frankly, I do not think it makes a lot of sense. I do not think that this is a smart decision to do, right? And let's further deep dive into that, because of course there are lots of decisions that are attached to that. And it starts already in your undergrad. You're asking yourself, what degree should I study to get into MBB, get into McKinsey, BCG, Bain? I mean, come on, this shouldn't be the only reason, right? So you pick a degree subject only for that, but then what if you realize that you don't get in? Then all these years were wasted? How does that make sense? And even if you do make it, if you do get in, it's just the truth that on average, a consultant probably stays for 2, 3, 4 years at any of these firms. So for such a short amount of time, you want to make these important decisions. Again, I do not think this makes sense. Next step for the MBA. People are considering, this at least the impression that I get from many of your messages, people are considering to do an MBA, to spend often a 6-digit amount of money in tuition, in living costs, and foregone salary, just to get into MBB or to hope to get into MBB. Because what happens if you then don't get in the end? And frankly, while of course I hope that everyone who does an MBA also fulfills these goals, and I do think that doing an MBA might be a great avenue into these career paths, I also just know from my personal experience, having done the MBA at INSEAD, that there are many people who hoped to get into this level of MBB consulting and then for different reasons didn't make it. Was it then all for nothing? Did you then just spend all this money, all this time for not meeting your goals? Is this really how you want to think about your life? I really think this is not a healthy way to look at these types of things. It's not a mature way, I would say. It's a little bit childish, frankly. And I think it's absolutely fair to say you have a goal, that you want to get into consulting, that you'd love to also get into MBB consulting. And yes, I would argue probably there is a difference between tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 consulting firms. But surely you shouldn't obsess around this being your only goal. You shouldn't plan your whole life around that, right? And of course, many things you do that will help you to potentially get into MBB will also help you to get into other attractive career paths. So it's about your GPA, the grades. If you write good grades, a strong GPA, of course this will help you in other things as well, if you work on the extracurriculars and so on. But don't do things only because you hope that this will help you to do it. You shouldn't do an MBA if your only objective is to get into MBB, because chances are, at the end of the day, quite high that you won't make it. So let's talk about some other things that you could do that are very attractive. A couple of ideas, maybe also for you, if you really feel like the only way for you to have a great career in management and general management is to do McKinsey, BCG, Bain. What else could you do? What might be great alternatives? First idea, found a startup. I have actually many people I personally studied with in my time here at University of Munich that instead of starting a career in McKinsey, BCG, Bain and Tier 1 consulting, they founded a startup and now have unicorns. And probably it was a golden time, especially also in the last years. But again, several people I studied with who were in my semester, in my cohort, who founded now today unicorns. And surely these people do not regret to have not joined MBB in the end, right? And of course, not everyone makes it, survivorship bias, many people who started startups who didn't do it. But I think in the end of the day, it's much more realistic, much more possible than maybe you think. First point. Second point, if you feel like it's too much risk to do that, to start your own startup, join such a startup, join such a young company. Right? So already join a startup that is already established. I think the sweet spot probably is to join a company that just raised a Series A, right? So that just raised a big substantial financing round, because often what this means is that the company already does show some level of traction, does at least show initial signs of product market fit. So you take out a lot of the initial risk of joining such a company. You are in a situation where the company now raised significant amounts of money. Good Series A rounds today are often 10, 20, 30, $40 million if you look at the last valuations, the current numbers. So these are often environments where lots of people get hired, where you might suddenly be in a position, even as a junior person who is doing a good job, to only after a short amount of time, you become a team lead, you become lots of responsibility. And I think people also severely underestimate the salaries that you can earn in these type of roles. Frankly, I think in these environments, for these fast hyper-growth type of companies, you can often earn salaries absolutely equivalent to people being consultants, senior consultants, even project leads in consulting type of environments. And often, of course, the lifestyle is significantly better than what you can expect at McKinsey, BCG, Bain. And frankly, if you would be interested in an opportunity like that, we have currently a role like that at my current employer, at my current company, Building Radar as well. We are looking for a role that we call a revenue engineer. So Building Radar is doing something that is called revenue engineering. We are helping industry and construction companies to digitalize and fuel their sales and commercial processes. And we are hiring at the moment for this one specific role. It will be a role that very closely works together with us as a C-level, so me including with the board of Building Radar, with the managing directors of Building Radar. It is a role where you will work closely together with some of our largest customers, with senior leadership of large industry players in Germany and in Europe. And it is a position where you can have a significant influence on the strategic direction of our young company. So if this would be something that you would be interested in, I will leave a link to this job posting in the video description. Check it out. 2 requirements though. First, you need to be based in Munich, so it's not a fully remote position. And second, you need to be fluent both in English and in German. But if you meet these requirements, you can apply via the link in the video description. Just also write in your cover letter that you saw this video, and then I will also have the opportunity to look at your application as well. And frankly, I think another benefit of joining such a position in a young company is that I think there's no better preparation to eventually found your own startup. If you maybe don't want to do it right away out of university or with a couple of years of work experience, there's no better way than having worked for such a young growth company, because all the things that you see, that you learn with working together closely with the management team, with the founders, these will be exactly the learnings that will help you to then start your own venture as well, raise capital, raise money, and bring that to life. And then the third overarching opportunity that I see as an alternative to what you can do in consulting is B2B sales. This is also something that I learned over the last years. I think it's absolutely crazy, the careers that people have who work as an account executive, as a key account manager for any of these B2B sales companies. Here behind us actually there's the office of Salesforce here in Munich. If you are an account executive at a company like Salesforce, and that's just one of many examples, so any of these SaaS companies, and again including Building Radar, because we are a SaaS company as well, the people there can earn easily 6-digit salaries. It's just a great career, sales, lots of opportunities, also lots of growth potentials that you see. So if working together with B2B customers, if working together with other people, selling products in a B2B environment is something that you're interested in, think about pursuing such a career in sales, because the truth is salaries are probably rather comparable to what you can expect in the first 3 to 5 years in consulting. Plus the work-life balance is significantly better to what you can expect in consulting. And again, then from such a sales leadership position that you will be eventually in, this of course is surely also a great then development step point to then also move into other areas, into other leadership positions of the company overall, and then potentially of course also starting your own business in the end. So I hope this makes sense to you. Yes, I am still and I will continue to be a big proponent of consulting. I think it is a great start to your career. I think spending a few years at McKinsey, BCG, any of these companies rarely did anything back to anyone, right? So I think really it's of course a great opportunity, but don't get stuck up on joining of these firms. Think in alternatives, think in options that you have. Don't develop your profile too closely, too narrowly towards such a thing which then maybe might work out or might not work out for you in the end. And again, in any ways, for almost all people, there will be a career after consulting. Only very few people stay there until the partner role. It's very unlikely that you will do that as well, and that alone should be reason enough for you to then find your own position, find your own path. So thank you. This is just what I wanted to talk about today. Appreciate your time. If you like this, as always, hit the like button, turn on the subscriber bell, turn on the notification bell. Big thanks to all the members of the channel. Very much appreciate your support. See you again next week. My name is Heinrich. I'm a former McKinsey consultant releasing career advice here on my channel From Learning. New videos every single Saturday. All the best to you and bye-bye.